This is Fox 26 News at Noon.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Matthew Seedorf in for Jose Grignon. Scattered showers could create some trouble spots ahead of this holiday weekend. Plus, cancellations and delays are causing headaches for weekend travelers. And a teenage boy is expected to survive after being shot in West Houston. But our top story today is that weather. Let's turn to meteorologist John Dawson. JD, some much needed rainfall across much of the region.
Yeah, Matthew, totally. Maybe not as much as what everybody wanted. I certainly recognize that some of us did not get as much rain as hoped for, but definitely our coastal areas did get a good soaking. And overall, that was the driest area that we had in our viewing area. And I do want to point out that low pressure system that the Hurricane Center identified as Invest 95L, they've kind of stopped all of that. They're kind of done with it. It's sort of no longer going to be focused for the Hurricane Center, but it's still that low pressure is what's creating that rain for us. We continue to see some of that rain happening down along the coast, of course, where you see the yellows and the reds indicating those heavier storms. And that's why we still have a flood watch. It's just for our very coastal most areas here around the Gulf or around Galveston Bay as well. And this will be through about 4 p.m. So it's not even really for the rest of the evening, only until about 4 o'clock. Now, our temperatures have certainly kind of responded to all that extra cloud cover. Things are much milder right now, and we'll expect to keep the temperatures overall on the mild side of things. Probably will end up with below average as far as our afternoon highs are concerned. So we will see a few more downpours this evening, and I'm not going to be able to drop the rain chances completely as we move into the weekend, but by the time we get to the end of the weekend, I think we'll be in much better shape. We'll talk about that holiday weekend forecast and the rest of the 7-day coming up.
All right, thank you, JD. A record number of drivers are hitting the road despite those high gas prices. The national average now at $4.84 per gallon, while the price in Houston sits at $4.47. According to AAA, 42 million people will travel by car this 4th of July weekend. And because of inflation, experts say families will likely change plans to offset fuel costs, including finding cheaper places to stay or staying with friends and family. If you're looking for the best gas prices, you can use the Gas Buddy app, which we have on our website, fox26houston.com. But if you're traveling by air, it could be a bumpy ride. Fox News senior correspondent Casey Stiegel has more.
The July 4th holiday weekend is in full swing, but flight cancellations and delays are leaving thousands of travelers frustrated as they try and reach their destinations.
Planning and being prepared for the unexpected is the most important thing.
Hundreds of flights already delayed or canceled early Friday morning. This following thousands of delays already throughout the week, with nearly 6,000 flights canceled on Wednesday alone.
He actually got rebooked twice, I think, so it's been fun.
A surge of passengers returning to travel this summer, with AAA expecting 3.5 million Americans to take to the skies this weekend. That's a 1.5% increase from this time last year and nearly 12% higher than the 10-year average. Travel experts saying this influx of passengers will only strain an overloaded system as airlines continue to struggle with staffing shortages, overscheduling, and high demand.
Right now, summer is oversold and understaffed.
Anticipating cancellations and delays, Delta is proactively issuing fee waivers, allowing those who have flights booked for the weekend to rebook on a different flight with no additional cost.
Delta issuing this waiver is them trying to get ahead of this problem, but this is going to happen for almost all the airlines this weekend.
Meantime, many Delta pilots across the country taking to the picket line yesterday, fighting for better overtime pay to help keep planes in the sky. That's the latest from DFW International Airport. Casey Stiegel, Fox News.
Here in Houston, Bush Airport is expecting around 140,000 passengers just today and nearly 50,000 at Hobby. That's a 12% increase compared to last year. There's also construction happening around Bush Airport, which could lead to some issues. Airport officials are warning travelers to arrive early and prepare for cancellations or delays. But those we spoke with aren't too worried about possible issues at the airport.
Looking around, yeah, it's a lot of people, so not worried about flight cancellations, though. I've been pretty lucky with Flying Spirit.
I hope the management of this airline flight get more, attentions, and then time and then solve the problem so that we can, and we do not have any more problems anymore.
Pilots for both Southwest and Delta have protested working conditions this week, saying the airlines are booking too many flights and that they're overworked. New today, a 15-year-old boy is in the hospital after being shot in the face during an attempted robbery in West Houston. Police got the call around 9, and the victim was found at a gas station on Westheimer near Highway 6. He is expected to survive. The shooting actually happened at a nearby apartment complex. Police say the victim and his friend were in the parking lot when a group of people drove up, shot the teen, and took off. Officers are looking at security video to track down the shooter. So far, there's no description. State Attorney General Ken Paxton is appealing a Harris County judge's ruling that allows abortions up to 6 weeks in some clinics. Paxton filed the emergency motion Thursday asking the state Supreme Court to set aside a temporary restraining order blocking his attempt to prosecute abortion providers using a century-old law before Roe v. Wade. A week ago today, the High Court announced its decision to overturn the constitutional protection on abortion, but the ruling won't be official until there's a formal judgment. Paxton has asked the court to consider the motion by July 6th. A hearing on July 12th may result in a more permanent situation. And coming up next, fentanyl overdoses are on the rise as the drug continues to cross the border. We'll take a look at the difference between overdoses and poisonings next. Welcome back. Parents across the country are fighting to get their children's overdose deaths classified as crimes. The legal push comes with news of fentanyl being smuggled across the U.S.-Mexico border. Fox Business correspondent Hillary Vaughn has more.
Law enforcement is frustrated.
If you do the crime, you gotta do the time. But police say that's not always the case.
We arrest people and we see them out of custody within hours of making an arrest.
Last week in Central California, sheriff's deputies caught 2 traffickers with a truckload of fentanyl, but a judge-signed court order let them go.
Let's just go back and make the use of drugs and the sale of drugs a felony where you have to be held accountable and serve time in jail.
Parents whose children are being sold poison pills with deadly doses of fentanyl want answers. 18-year-old Adriana Davies died after taking Percocet she didn't know was laced with fentanyl. The drug dealer accused is an illegal immigrant who was out on bail for another crime.
This person should have at least been either behind bars or been deported.
Families fighting for justice want drug dealers behind bars for murder. If the drugs they sell kill. But in states like California with softer drug laws, federal prosecutors taking their case might be their only hope.
It ties the hands of the police. It ties the hands of the district attorneys. And so they're having to find other ways to go about prosecuting these cases.
It took a retired Chicago police officer 5 months to convince police her daughter's overdose was foul play.
How are these other parents that don't have this background in law enforcement able to get some form of justice?
And so many parents never get that closure. The conviction rate for fentanyl dealers in some places is 0. San Francisco had 640 fatal fentanyl overdoses last year, but the now recalled district attorney failed to convict anyone for dealing fentanyl in 2021. In Washington, Hillary Vaughn, Fox News.
State health officials say monkeypox is spreading in Texas, not involving international travel. 3 cases have been detected in people who have not recently traveled at all. So far, officials have been able to identify where the transmission came from between people who had close contact. At least 3 cases have been detected in Houston.
There has not been any recognized transmission happening to healthcare providers that might be taking care of these patients, and there hasn't been any known transmission on airplanes during this outbreak either. And so that just more evidence that this isn't being spread super easily the way that COVID-19 was.
Doctors say it starts with flu-like symptoms followed by a rash that looks like pimples or blisters. They say getting a vaccine within 4 days of exposure can help from getting sick. There will be a new COVID-19 shot available this fall. The updated booster will be based on the Omicron variant and comes 2 days after experts voted overwhelmingly for the new vaccine. The government has already purchased more than 100 million doses of Pfizer's new booster, while Moderna's president tells the FDA their revamped vaccine isn't ready just yet. And good news for parents struggling to find baby formula. More relief is on the way. The Biden administration says a shipment from Australia will arrive in Fort Worth on July 4th. The delivery includes more than 56,000 pounds of formula. That's roughly 8,500,000 8-ounce bottles. This is part of the administration's Operation Fly effort to address the ongoing baby formula shortage. And coming up after the break, we're taking a look at some more local headlines, including an overnight train derailment in Northeast Houston. A cleanup is underway in Northeast Houston after a train derailment. It happened around 2:15 this morning at Clinton and Hirsch. Nobody was hurt and traffic isn't being impacted too much. Union Pacific is investigating what caused the derailment and how to safely remove the cars. The Texas woman accused of killing a popular cyclist in Austin is now in custody. U.S. Marshals say 34-year-old Caitlin Armstrong was picked up in Costa Rica. She's connected to the May shooting death of cyclist Mariah Wilson. Investigators say Wilson was murdered because Armstrong believed she was having an affair with her boyfriend. They say Armstrong used a similar but fake name to sign into yoga classes while in Costa Rica, helping them track her down.
Once they developed that pattern, it really opened up things. They had a small paper trail that was leading down the road, and I think then once she established some type of pattern based upon her yoga practices, they were able to kind of narrow in that vicinity and just conduct surveillance.
Armstrong is expected to be returned to the U.S. and face the murder charge. In the wake of the Uvalde school shooting massacre, state officials are ordering districts to audit and fix security problems before the next school year. A big focus has been placed on exterior doors after a gunman was able to enter Robb Elementary through an unlocked broken lock, killing 19 students and 2 teachers. Family members of the victims continue to demand answers about the police response. The school's police chief was absent from his second meeting after recently being sworn in as a city council member. Peter Hernando has faced harsh criticism for ordering officers to stand by in a hallway for more than an hour while the shooter was inside 2 classrooms. According to the Texas Tribune, Uvalde's mayor says city officials could be prosecuted for releasing details of the investigation before it is complete. A controversial change to school curriculum is being proposed. A group of 9 educators is asking the state's education board to change the word slavery to involuntary relocation. The changes would impact second-grade social studies classes, which is being revised this summer. The Texas Tribune reports the board unanimously asked the group to reconsider that proposed phrasing. This comes a year after lawmakers passed a law to keep topics that make students feel, quote, discomfort out of Texas classrooms. For a full look at this story, head to our website. Of course, that's fox26houston.com. But let's check back in with that top story, the weather, with John Dawson. JD, still a little bit of rain in the area.
Yeah, totally. We're going to keep some rain in the forecast really through the Saturday. So when we've been using my garden at home kind of as a way of where we're going to get rain or not, whether or not I'm going to need to water the garden or not. Are you following me on Instagram, checking out my garden's progress? I'm at John Dawson, Fox 26, if you want to connect with me. And we'll put some maybes down for today, although I think I did get enough rain today. Tomorrow there'll be a few possibilities, and yes, I'll be watering once we get back into Sunday, because that's when we start to really dry out. So remember, we really need whatever rain that we can get. We're not getting too much of it overall. Over 86% of the state is in now some level of drought. That drought monitor updated on Thursday. So yesterday we saw an increase from the previous week. Here's kind of the rain pattern that we're looking at right now. Look how these bands of rain are all right off of the coast. And that's what we thought might happen, where it's not that really that far, 25 to 40 miles maybe, that this is off of the coast. That could easily have been sitting right on top of us and really dropping a lot of rain, but it's been right off of the coast. We still have that flood watch. That's why we still have some of this area in the flood watch until 4 p.m. because of the possibility that those showers could have been just a little bit further to the north. It wouldn't have made that much of a difference. Do you remember potential tropical cyclone 2? We've been talking about it for several days. Well, it finally became Bonnie, Tropical Storm Bonnie, at about 10 o'clock this morning from the National Hurricane Center. And this is really going to be an unusual storm. We'll have more time to really discuss everything in the tropics on our YouTube channel. Make sure and go to the Fox 26 YouTube channel. Every day, a little bit after 4 p.m. is when we update that. So make sure and check that out later on this afternoon. 82 right now with partly cloudy skies. We'll probably stay in the 80s today. Maybe a few of us will get up to those upper 80s where the clouds can break through. And these rain accumulations are not going to be very much from this point forward. So adding on to whatever has already fallen, we're looking at most likely less than an inch. The blue shading here, possibly as much as an inch of rain. That's all going to be east of the downtown Houston area. So in the 7-day forecast, we keep some slight rain chances for the rest of today. And as we move into tomorrow, and then we dry out on Sunday, and then bring on the holiday. Monday, we'll be ready for some fireworks in the evening. maybe an isolated shower with some warm conditions in the afternoon.
All right, thank you, JD. And still to come, a summertime trend is showing more people how much fun it is under the sea. We'll be right back. Welcome back. As the summer sun keeps making temperatures on land feel hot, 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 I think there's a song there, mermaid enthusiasts are sharing just how cool the growing underwater trend is becoming. Fox News correspondent Ashley Stromeer has a special look.
Get ready to take the plunge as we deep dive into mermaiding, a growing trend making a big splash here in the United States and around the world. With thousands of merfolk praising the activity that celebrates inclusivity, community, exploration, and even education.
Through this sort of like silly, frivolous activity, right, dressing up and swimming around, you can use this as a platform to teach kids about our waterways.
But back in the early days, mermaiding wasn't so accessible. The vibrant tails were primarily custom made, cost thousands of dollars, and could weigh close to 50 pounds. Over time, a wider selection of cheaper tails made with lighter materials started flooding the market, helping mermaiding transform into a multi-million-dollar industry while providing more opportunities to those curious to try it.
It's one thing that helps me to bring back my sanity. I tend to be relaxed when I do mermaiding because the movement.
And people can't seem to get enough, with local groups of merpeople called pods working to spread their skills.
We really have the opportunity to teach people how to do things safely and foundationally.
While it seems purely fun, the unique activity is also highly credible, with some of the world's top scuba diving organizations now offering official mermaiding courses. Ashley Strohmeyer, Fox News.
Thanks, Ashley, and stay with us. A final check of the forecast is coming up next.
The new Fox 26 weather app with more features in one easy-to-use screen. Current weather at a glance, high-resolution interactive radar, severe weather alerts, video forecasts, and much more. It's the power of your Gulf Coast Weather Authority in the palm of your hand. The all-new Fox 26 weather app, available at your app store today.